Hello, everyone. Welcome to Drawing Expressions, live streaming here on YouTube. My name's Parz. I am the creative writing guy that shows up here every week and live streams and drinks coffee and writes creatively. You would have thought that I would have had a sip of coffee just before I would show up on screen, and you would be wrong. Only remembered it afterwards. So there we go. So hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making this next number of minutes part of your creative journey. My lovely lady love Alicia is on chat. So please, if you're out there, say hi. Just, quick little hi, let us know you're there. It means the world to know that we've got people who are actually here and watching and like, cool. Or if you're on the, catching on the replay, throw it into chat. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, so if you have been here before, you will have noticed that the opening screens, it was the dynamic rolling with all the little information and whatnot, that lovely tangling background and then all of the wording in front. That was also done by Alicia. So first off, many thanks to her for creating all of that for me. Second of all, if you would like to learn how to do anything of the sort like that, tangling or Zentangle, you should go check out some videos in our library on YouTube, or you can catch early release videos when she comes up with a new one in Patreon. So there'll be more information about that within the chat and whatnot. But yeah, you can definitely check out her playlist on YouTube as like an entry point. And if you want to get early access to new videos, Patreon is the way to go. Okay. With that, let's move on to the things of the day. Here we go. Of all the things that used to fill this screen, really the only one that is important is Guidelines Bend, and we are Casa del Guidelines, or I'm in Thailand, so Bon Guidelines, the House of Guidelines. Anything that doesn't work for you, ignore. Anything that does work, incorporate it in until it doesn't, or don't until it does, or whatever. Guidelines. The class structure. So I like to divide it into two pieces: the planners and the pantsers, to honor the two types of writers. I am very definitely a pantser. Today's planning section is. Let's see if I can pronounce this right the first time through. Onomatopoeia. And you'll find out what that means in a minute. For the pantser section, that is actually, it's funny because, pantser, you're just sort of making it up as you go along and pulling it together. And my pantser section has been changing over the past, say, hour and a half. So we'll see what it actually ends up being when we get there. But we are going to have a discussion on things revolving around habit and reward and schedule and routine and all of these types of things. So that is where we're going with that in the second half. Whoops, get that to click through. The last thing to mention before we get into the actual creating part is our free art space, free expressions. Link to that is in our Linktree, which is in the chat. Yeah, come hang out and make an art date with yourself. Okay, with that, let us move into getting our minds and bodies ready to do a little bit of writing and a lot of thinking. So here we go. I like to square breathe, and so what I'm going to do is invite you to join me, and we start by taking a nice deep breath in. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing in. And a little stretch. And release. There we go. So keep in mind in your creative practice that you can oftentimes end up in uncomfortable positions for your body, like you're hunched in, and that can get your back tired, get your neck tired, right? And then if you get tired, then you start to not work as creatively as you could. So take a moment to breathe and stretch every so often. And that's actually going to tie into the whole routine and habit and reward and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, yeah, let us go back to here. Okay. Onomatopoeia. That is words that describe and mimic a sound. Now, if you were a TV kid, like I was, back in the 1970s, there was a show that was on, Batman. And Batman, yeah, Batman was the guy, you know, dressed in he wasn't dressed in dark, he was dressed in purple, running around and fighting crime and whatnot. And anytime he got into a fight with the bad guys, and there was always a fight with the bad guys, they'd be, you know, their punches and whatnot. And so you'd see pow and bam, and they'd flash these big words up on the screen, like bam, pow. Those are onomatopoeia. Try saying that 5 times fast. And so that is where we're going to go today. So let me just bring that up first. And there we go. Let's share my screen. Where did it go? Reordered things a little bit. Okay, so onomatopoeia. So what are a few onomatopoeia words that you can come up with? I have the bam, the splat, the crunch. A lot of animal calls are, they fit into the same category. I grabbed a reference here. This is www.rd.com. This is Reader's Digest. Just not spelled out. It's the cool version, RD. So there's 50 examples of some onomatopoeia, and I'm going to stop saying that because, man, it's a mouthful. Yeah, so there's a few that were listed that I found to be very interesting. I'll be showing those in a minute. But why don't we just jot down a few? I've got my couple here, bam, splat, crunch. I will be bringing up others. The whole idea that we're going to be using these for is we want to not just view these words as, oh, aren't these interesting or curious or whatever. What can we do to use them? And what can we do to incorporate them into a story? And how can we highlight them? And that's really where I'm going to go when I write my story in just a few minutes. So I'm inviting you to think of some words. You don't necessarily have to use them in your story. Just get thinking about the words, the sounds, and, you know, I am going to say it one more time, onomatopoeia. Think about them and how you can use them. Okay, so take a minute. I'm going to sip a little bit of coffee here. Okay. I'll give you another few seconds. Okay. Now that I think we're all kind of working, thinking about these things, let's start to think about what we can do with them. Give me 1 second. Actually, I'm gonna come back to here. Mumble, mumble, bumble. Okay, yes, that's right. I want to bring that up first. So before we start doing some writing, I wanted to highlight a few words. Again, this is from the Reader's Digest list, that are in more common usage than you might expect, and they're either the sounds that they're there, or they've developed from a I put my notes away, onomatopoeia. They've developed into a word that we use today. So let me just highlight this, because I think this is just kind of fun. So blimp. So the real term for a blimp is a dirigible. And they were developed, I think they were developed in England, the UK. Could be wrong. But anyways, there was an English army lieutenant, and he hit his thumb against, or he rubbed his thumb against one of the gas bags of a dirigible, and it went blimp. Thus, the term blimp was born, and dirigible, which is a mouthful, sort of got set aside. So the Goodyear dirigible, not the Goodyear blimp. Bumblebee. Here's an interesting one. So there's been many attempts to come up with the name of a, let's see here, 1 second. To come up with the name of that little lovely flying thing. Dumbledore actually was one of the words that was used. So J.K. Rowling did not just pull Dumbledore out of the air. It was actually a real term for a bee. Buffoon. Now, a buffoon is a foolish person, right? And buffoon comes from the 1500s, where it was a comedic dance, and people would puff out their cheeks to look more foolish. Okay, and so the sound of the air leaving the puffed out cheeks is supposed to be buffoon, or that's where it developed. Another word, cliché. Cliché comes from from France, a printer. He got sick and tired of having to spell out common phrases. So he just made these plates, and he would set them into whatever it was he was doing, newspaper, book, whatever it was. And cliché was the sound of the printer hitting that plate. Cliché. So that's where that comes from. But it's like a common phrase, common term. It's so common that it's now just cliché. Laugh. Laugh comes from early Europe. Comes from a word I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Well, actually, I'll try. Hleinhan. Hleinhan. Anyways, laugh is developed from that. And then the last one that was on my list here, owl, which is derived from ooh, which is trying to describe the sound an owl makes. Now, apparently, a lot of bird names derive from the sounds that they make. And so bird names come from onomatopoeia. Okay, so maybe in your list you want to try using one of those as well. Okay, now I think I'm ready to start doing a little bit of writing. And so let's just kind of see where we go from there. So I'm going to bring up my my screen. There we go, and bring my writing platform over. And share my screen. There we go. Okay. There we go. So what I want to do, what I want to accomplish is onomatopoeia. It's all sound-based, right? So we want to highlight sounds. So I'm just going to make some notes here. Highlight sounds. And the best way I can think of to highlight sounds is when my other senses are not working quite so well. And where my mind keeps going to is my morning routine. The first thing in the morning, it's dark, you're just waking up. You're trying to kind of just operate. So that's what I want to use these words for. This is what I want to highlight. So I'm going to just do that. These are my notes. And now I'm just going to start writing about my morning routine. So how can we do this in an interesting manner? Because it's not just going to be like, I get up, I get up, Dick and Jane. No. We want to have something that's engaging. So how can we manage that? And I'm going to start with the first sounds that I really kind of pay attention to that I make. So the soft, now what I'm trying to describe is the sound that my feet make as I'm going down the stairs. So plop, so, or like a plop, plop. So the soft plops, not, okay, actually, we don't want plop, because that plop, maybe that's something that happens in the bathroom. We don't want that. So the soft plops. And it's not technically a word, so we are just going to have to deal with the fact that spell check doesn't like it, and technically this does not qualify as an onomatopoeia because it's not a recognized word. It's just a sound. The soft plops of my bare feet. Bare feet. Making their way step by step down the stairs. Begins my, having a hard time typing today, my morning routine. Wow. My morning routine. As I descend into the darkened living room and on to the kitchen, let's see in here. Let's try and get, okay, so I've got the sounds that my feet are making. What other sounds are there? Let's see if we can bring in an onomatopoeia. We always have a fan running. Helps keep the air moving down in the living spaces. So I can hear the quiet whoosh of the fan and the cool air it pushes. Okay. There we go. So we can also use words that we're going to be highlighting tactile type sensations. Typically, I think we want to stay away from things that we see because we are, as humans, we're so geared into visual information that if we provide other types of information, so the auditory, the tactile, the touch, this helps to engage different parts of our body. We can actually step into the experience better. Okay, so and air it pushes. Okay, and I endeavor to let's see, endeavor okay, let's see if I can get the spell check. Thank you. And I endeavor to not step on any cattails as they whiz by. So whiz is one. Whiz by. It is a onomatopoeia. Stop asking me to say that. As they whiz by, knowing that their food will be prepared soon. Wow, I am just having wow, this is just okay. Struggling with my tech a little bit here, but that's okay. We'll be prepared soon. Okay. Apparently I need more coffee. So I'll just take a second, another sip. Let's see if we can get that one just routed straight into the fingers. Okay. So let's do maybe like another paragraph or two. Let's see now here. Okay, so coffee. Let's see now here. I am going to mention coffee because this is the whole point of the whole thing. I do have the cat food in here though as well, so we'll be mentioning that. So the coffee machine starts its day with its buzz and whirs as it heats up water and prepares the grinder for it prepares the grinder. You know what it's for. While it goes through its motions, the clank, not crank, clank and clatter of cat food dishes tells my feline family that breakfast is soon approaching. There we go. Let's have just one more, just sort of wrapping things up. No need to put all the details in here. If you wanted to have something that was far longer, more detailed, exploring different sounds as you're encountering them, even different sensations as you are encountering them, go ahead and put them in. I'm going to pass over that part. Once coffee is made and cat food served, I can sit back and enjoy the start of another day. Here we go. Just as a wrapping up sentence. So we do have a few onomatopoeias in here, right? We have identified buzz, whiz, even the word grinder, arguably, grind, right? So that's kind of where we have, where we go, right? Using these things and highlighting sensations. Actually here, before I go away, let me just come back to that. So let's just sort of recap what we've got written here. The soft plaps of my bare feet making their way step by step down the stairs begins my morning routine. As I descend into the darkened living room and on to the kitchen, I can hear the quiet whoosh of the fan and the cool air it pushes. And I endeavor to not step on any cattails as they whiz by, knowing that their food will soon be prepared. Actually, it's not the cattails that know that the food is going to be their owners. knowing that their food will be prepared soon. There we go. So now that says cats, not cat tails, knowing that food is coming. The coffee machine starts its day with its buzz and whirs as it heats up and water and prepares the grinder. While it goes through its motions, the clank and clatter of cat food dishes tells my feline family that breakfast is soon approaching. Once coffee is made and cat food served, I can sit back and enjoy the start of another day. And there we go. That, I think, just sort of helps to recap it. So I'm going to come back here to talking to you. And I call it talking to you because my little scene thing is called talk to room. So anyways, that is the basic idea behind Onomatopoeia. I think I said that right. So how did yours go? Yeah, or are you still working on it? So let me know. Okay. I think with that, if there's anything else that I wanted to talk about, there are, I think I'll just one last little note. It is always fun to play with sensory descriptions. And I mentioned this before, sensory descriptions that you don't normally think about. It helps to like tie people in. If you think about just something real quick, just a little experiment here, just between you and I and the world. Think about your left toe. Now, don't think about your left toe. Now, if I mention your left toe, your brain goes and says, what's going on with my left toe? Right? It'll shoot back up. But for just a second, it went down. Your toe is like, hey, I'm cool. Or, hey, I stubbed it. Or whatever. And then your attention will come back up. So this is something that happens when you're reading as well. It will, if you highlight a thing, you can shoot someone's attention out and then it will kind of snap back. Unlike, say, social media where you kind of get sucked in and you never come back. But if you are doing it in terms of like a creative writing exercise, you can absolutely do that. And so you can manipulate your readers a little bit and have them experience and have them feel. And using onomatopoeia is one way you can do that. Okay, let us go to the breathe and stretch. I think that wraps it up nicely. So I'm going to take a nice deep breath in. So here we go. And stretch. Oh, cracking the knuckles. There we go. That feels better. Okay. Let's come back to here. So welcome to the pantser section. I hope first off, I hope I haven't flown through the planner section too quickly. I hope I've given you enough time to play with the sounds that sound like things. Apologies if I didn't, but please, if you do work on it, at the end, I'll give you indications or highlights. Or can't talk right now. I'll give you social media type things that you can post to and whatnot. Anyway, wonderful. Alicia says she just finished my story. So wonderful. Good. Okay. So I hope the rest of you have as well. And now I'm going to move on to, actually get my notes up real quick. So like I said in the beginning of this, that what I was going to talk about has solely been changing as I think about it over the past hour or two as I was in the shower. So I'm just going to kind of start with where I was going to originally go and develop some thoughts. And maybe you agree, maybe you don't. It's all good because it's all a discussion that can be had. Scientists are still discussing it, so why can't we? I'm just going to come over to the share screen. Actually, no, I'm going to introduce it first and then I'll pop it up and then we'll come back. Okay. So this is coming from neurosciencenews.com, and it's talking about the role of technology and how people we think our habits are good. Oh, hello. We are live, by the way, and my cat just jumped up, so apologies. It's like live theater, right? You just never really know what's going to happen. Okay, so anyways, we have habits, and we try to, have things that we do on a routine basis. I shower in the morning. That is a habit. I do it. I don't really think about it. I just know that if I don't do it, I don't feel like my day has started. Okay, 1 second. Whoops. Okay, that's not working. I was gonna have my cat come up and say hi. Never mind. Okay, so we have our habits. Now, the habits are, we just kind of do them. Habits really are defined as something that we do when something else happens. It's a reaction. It's something that we just mindlessly do. It's something that follows from a trigger that happens. Like in the morning, I get up, and at some point in the morning, I have my shower so that I feel more clean, alive, awake. Pick your word. They all apply. And so this article is talking about rewards and how the reward of being online, or the reward of using technology, it provides these quick rewards. I want to look something up. I am rewarded instantly. There's Bhakti, and Kana will be coming in just a second. So I'm rewarded instantly with this thing. And so the article goes on to argue that reward-driven behavior is way more effective than habit behavior, because habits, you don't get that dopamine hit. You just don't get that satisfaction. Rewards they feel good. So that is where I was starting to go. And my mind went into like being mindful and how to arrange your day and how to do stuff. So here is where I'm going to land on the whole notion of habit and reward and schedule and whatnot. And it's just going to tie into the live stream from a couple of weeks ago, where as part of the Linktree festival, we released things. We had things all over, we had cares and concerns that no longer serve us. Off they go. And so that helps to empty the cup a bit, right? And so when your cup is not full, you have space to put something new into it. If your cup is full, especially full of old tea, you can't put any new tea in. It's one of these cliches of saying you can't fill, or you can't put more liquid into a full cup. So how do we introduce something into our lives, into our schedules, which are extremely busy? How do we do that? And a lot of people will say, well, you want to develop a new habit. You want to develop a healthy habit, like a habit of exercising daily, or eating your vegetables, or whatever it is. Whatever it is, whatever these habits are, that you should just sort of do, and that will make the world, make your personal experience on things better. And I think that is not necessarily the case. I think that instead of aiming to create a habit, you should aim to reward yourself with something. And maybe we were going to reward ourselves for doing that habit. Maybe when you take that walk around the neighborhood just as sort of a light exercise routine, maybe you're rewarded with something. And it doesn't need to be much. Even just a pat on the back, just like, hey, wait, pay attention to the effort you just put in and attaboy yourself. That's a reward. Alicia says, can I have a coffee reward, please? Absolutely. Yeah, so rewards do not need to be big things, but rewards, if you're granting them to yourself in a mindful fashion, I think is going to be your best bet. If you're mindlessly doing stuff, you don't get the dopamine hit, you're just kind of doing something, right? It's sort of like you hit your finger with a hammer and then you say some choice words. Those words are the habit that you say after you have banged your finger. Bang, by the way, being an onomatopoeia. Can't even get the word right now. But this is the type of thing we want to do. If we're introducing something, introduce it as a reward or include a reward element to it. We also are wired to do things that are new, that are novel, that are unique. So maybe one day we have a coffee reward. Maybe the next day we have a flavored coffee reward. Maybe the next day we do an iced coffee. Maybe we keep changing it up. And I think if you approach life with sort of like these choices, I think that's a wonderful way to experience the wonderful world of small but meaningful rewards. And I guess one last thought on the whole habit thing is, if you have a habit that you are doing already and you like, and you want to introduce another habit, tie the two together. If you want your habit to be, I spend a minute of meditative, just ordered a reward coffee. If you want to have a meditative moment and you want to meditate more, maybe just take that moment after your exercise and take that minute to meditate. And that's a way to sort of like, string one habit to another habit. And then maybe at the end, reward yourself. Have that, you have your coffee after you've exercised and after you've had your meditation. And that's sort of an idea as well for introducing a new routine, a new habit, a new thing that you want to do. So that was just thoughts on the day for routines and habits. And if I was a little bit distracted in all of that, I have a cat who is where he really shouldn't be, doing things he really shouldn't be doing. Nothing really bad, but I'm just keeping an eye on him. So my brain is doing one thing as my eyes are watching another. So anyways, that is, that's just some thoughts. Now, Alicia writes, I have to exercise for my coffee. Can I cancel my coffee order, please? So no, you don't. This is mindful choices. And this is one of the things that I kind of don't like about habits, is that they are mindless. That you want to be mindful when you do something, even in a habit. If you can bring your mind into it, if you can breathe in your experience, if you can fully participate in what it is that you're doing, fully participate as if it's a reward, that turns it into reward. So anyways, that's my thinking on the day, and I hope that made some sense. If it didn't, well, there's always next week. There's always coffee too. Okay. Yeah, now that we're settled in and that the cats are sort of parked, I feel like I've sort of covered the things that I wanted to cover today. So the Onomatopoeia, I think I pronounced it right, and some thoughts on habits, rewards, schedules. and that type of thing. So I think I'm going to close it here. And so move on into some more brand new screens. So this is the part where I do my drawingXpressions haiku. And really the important line is just there on the page. So drawingXpressions is a creative space, holistically supportive. Like, share, subscribe. And please do. Please like, please share, please subscribe. If you would like to post things on social media, your stories, ideas, please do use the hashtag that is up on the screen, DXLive with Parz. I've reactivated my Facebook account, so now I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram as well, and use the hashtag. I will search on a regular basis. Yeah, if you want to get a hold of us, go through Linktree, or yeah, you can find us and just let us know what you're thinking. And with that, I think that is pretty much a day. I'm getting scrambled, I can tell. Cats, I think, distracted me a bit much. Or maybe I just didn't have enough coffee. So maybe one more coffee just with us here, and then I'll hit the outro. There we go. So thank you so much for bearing with my ramblings. I hope you enjoyed your story, and please come back next week. It's going to be more of a listening week, where I'm going to be reading stories about a character that I created years ago. And that's Clyde the Forgotten, I think it's Clyde the Forgotten Reindeer. So we will pick that up next week. Until then, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.